Welcome everybody to Inside the Coach's Office. I'm your host, Dan Murphy, along with my co-host, Brian Barnes. And Brian, how are we doing today?
Awesome, man. It's been a good weekend of football. It's been a good weekend with the family. Oldest daughter was in town from college, man. Just the little things in life. We're grateful. Things are good. Now we're talking an exciting Sunday night football game.
Yeah, and weather's still decent. We haven't had any brutal snowfalls. We had one small snowfall last week that didn't last too long, and man, yesterday was beautiful. Today wasn't too bad either. So a pretty nice weekend to have in the middle of November. But we're going to kick things off, Brian. We're looking back at some college football from yesterday. We're going to finish off with the Lions and really dive into that and give our predictions. But I want to start off with Michigan Northwestern, and just another ugly win for Michigan. And it just seems like it's the same old story week in and week out, but they continue to win football games, as ugly as it may be.
I know you talk about expectations and fair or not for the University of Michigan. And I think I saw a stat that said they start 6 freshmen, right? And they're 8-2, man. You know what I mean? And the questioning of is Sharon Moore the guy? Like, obviously, like you could argue, like, do they look prepared all the time? I don't know, right? They don't. Sometimes the decision making is questionable and they're sloppy, but they're 8-2. And they're going to be 9-2 a week from now and heading into the game against Ohio State with a chance to play in the Big Ten championship game. So, I mean, it's hard to knock success, right? And that just goes to show you there are a lot of schools, especially the one in East Lansing, that'd be really happy to be 8-2 right now that are sloppy, and looking unprepared. Yeah. But I think I made the comment in one of my buddies, our group chat. I said I feel like sometimes they play down to their competition. Like the game against Oklahoma was awesome. If you remember, it was a hard hitting, like that was a pretty good game. But like sometimes I feel like they play down to their competition. And that just might be youth. It might be they're just really young and that's just kind of who they are. And then one of my buddies said, he's like, I just don't think they're very good. It's like, well, again, the record says otherwise, but you can make that argument they're not as talented as they have been the last few years, which is obviously true. But they're 8-2. They're 8-2.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not experienced on the offensive side of the ball, and that's showing itself quite a bit. And I pop up these stats here real quick here, Brian. But man, I mean, if you just look at the stats, it looks like Michigan. You don't look at the score. You think Michigan won by 30 points yesterday. I mean, they dominated as far as statistics go. But what you don't see on there is the turnovers. And Michigan had 5 turnovers to Northwestern having 0. Michigan also missed 2 field goals. So, I mean, that just jumps out at you right away. And it's just, you can see, and it's continued. We're hoping by now that some of these mistakes and decision-making would be better, but you're still seeing the same things and you're still seeing the talent. The talent is immense, but especially late in the game yesterday, you saw Underwood just make some terrible decisions, some terrible throws, and thrown into coverage, and 5 turnovers to Northwestern 0. It's just and to still find a way to win the game is right. Wild.
Well, you just looking at the stats, and this is why sometimes stats can be overrated to a degree. If you're just looking at this, man, Michigan had close to 500 yards. It was a blowout, and converted 9 times on third down. Man, it's a blowout, right? And time of possession, more than 7 minutes of the ball, or right around there, it's a blowout. And it isn't the case because of those other factors you mentioned. But no, it's still a growth year for Bryce Underwood in a lot of ways. And again, growth year for Chip Lindsey, their offensive coordinator, right? Trying to figure out what works for him and what works for his athletes. But it'll be, fast forwarding it ahead to the offseason, because this is what happens now in college football. It'll be interesting who they bring in from the portal, and how much more dynamic they make their offense that way. But Northwestern is a 500 team. And I thought about this with college football on a national level, and tell me if you agree with this or not. Like, I think the divide between the has and have-nots has gotten a lot bigger, right? And like, look at the teams that can.
I don't think so.
Oh, so and here's what I mean. Hear me out. So like, Ohio State is head and shoulders above everybody else. From a talent perspective.
I guess. But I mean,
I think I'm not saying there's not a lot of teams that could win a national championship, right? But like, I think Indiana and Ohio State and Alabama, even though they lost, like they separated themselves. But like in the Big Ten, like the depth of the Big Ten doesn't seem that deep to me this year. Is that fair? Right? Like I feel like the.
Well, I agree with you there. I don't think the Big Ten is very deep, but I don't even know if Ohio State's even that great, or Indiana, because neither one of them. Indiana a little bit more because they did go into Oregon and beat Oregon.
Well,
but Ohio State, they haven't played Indiana.
But
they
I
haven't
thought
played Oregon.
Okay, I thought about this today, though.
They haven't played Michigan yet.
I'm glad you brought it up because I thought about this today. College football is the only sport where you talk about stuff like that. It's the only sport where you talk about, well, how many
because it's not a balanced schedule.
No, exactly. How many top 25 wins did they have? Well, maybe the top 25 is garbage because some news reporter in Arizona didn't watch that game on the East Coast, but he ranked that team in the top. You know what I mean? Like, I know, like, oh, they only have this many top 25. Whatever. Like, I don't know. Who's the most
I know that's not, but it just happens though that like Ohio State and Indiana haven't played each other. Ohio State, Oregon haven't played each other, or Ohio State, Michigan haven't played each other yet. Like those are some of the top teams in the USC. Ohio State hasn't played USC yet, or won't play USC. Like that's my problem. I guess that's more my problem with the expansion of the Big Ten.
Are you doing this to give yourself hope that Michigan's going to beat Ohio State in a couple of weeks? Is that why you're telling yourself that they haven't played anybody?
Well, of course, that's always part of it. But
okay,
I'm really just looking at the top tier of the Big Ten. I don't know if the Big Ten is that good. That's really more what I'm saying. I don't know how good the Big Ten is.
Yeah, which is fair and possible.
Who have they really played?
Yeah, I mean. But you could do that. You could do that every year. Like I just mentioned Alabama. They have 2 losses. You know what I mean? Like who? I don't know. You could do that. You could say that about every team. You know, well, the Miami lost to SMU. Well, they beat Notre Dame. Well, should that? You know, like we could do that every week. We could do that to every team.
But, well, to circle back to the main topic, the Michigan Wolverines, and I guess the question is, are they good or not? Like they're 8-2, probably going to be 9-2, going to play Ohio State at home with everything on the line.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, what's your definition of good? Like they're 8-2 and they're talented. They're winning football games. They're just not winning clean, right? But they're winning football games. Like I think they're good.
I guess my definition would be a team that has a legitimate shot to make the playoffs and advance if they do get in there.
That's your
definition. They're
not
just going to get in there and get smoked. Because in that definition, you're probably a top 10 team.
I think. All right, let me look at the college football playoff rankings right now. I'm going to find them.
Well, the thing is, Michigan hasn't. They've just stuck in 18 or around 18 to 20
it's hard,
weeks now because they win games, but they don't win them convincingly.
I think, Dan, I think Ohio State okay, again, here, you could use the argument. This is what is going back to why college football is weird right now. Like your team that's ranked 3rd in the playoff, who was 10-0, had to come back from 27-3 down, was it? Or 30-3 down at
30
home.
30 to 3 down.
30-3 down at home against an under 500 South Carolina team.
3-6.
So does that mean, Texas A&M hasn't beaten anybody? Well, they're 10-0. They're 10-0. So
they went into Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame.
And they're 10-0. They're 10-0. Right? Like I don't know. You can't tell me a team that's
what I guess what I'm asking you, Brian, what is Michigan? What are they? Are they a team that can are they going to hang with Ohio State? Are they just going to get smoked? Are they I don't. Can they go on the field and compete with Ohio State?
Yes, they definitely can. I think of course that's a winnable game for them. I just I said it to you yesterday. It wouldn't surprise me if though they win next week against nice of me. Remember I said the game against Maryland would be the tough one. I bet you I'm way wrong now. Looking at Maryland, it was Northwestern was the tough one.
They were losing with 2 seconds left.
God, right. And I said Michigan they'll lose to Ohio State, potentially lose the bowl game, and you're at a 9-4 season. I think people would have expected that before the year. I mean, if you're being realistic, like 9-4. I think yes, I think they can. Here's the problem Michigan's going to have, and actually I think it's more about Ohio State than anything. Remember Ohio State last year felt like they had to prove they were the tougher team, right? And they went in and, they kind of tried to be tough and physical with Michigan, and they were beat up front, and Michigan took it to them. That was an advantage they had, and it was a low-scoring game. And then in the playoff, Ohio State was Ohio State, and they're doing their thing. If Michigan gets into a track meet in 2 weeks, like, they're not beating Ohio State. They're not going to keep – that's not going to happen. Yeah. They're not going to match them score for score if that happens. But, again, I don't know how much you were watching the Ohio State game yesterday. Like, Jeremiah Smith didn't play the whole game. Like, Ohio State was a little bit banged up. Like, you never know when injuries come into play, right? But if both teams are fully at full capacity, then Michigan's going to have a hard time matching them score for score. If Ohio State learned their lesson, right, and they don't try to, pound the rock, so to speak. If they wing it around and do that, and the weather's decent, like, I think Ohio State wins. But of course, Michigan can win. Of course.
Yeah. But I guess my point is, like, we keep coming back. Are they a good team or not a good team? I guess it really doesn't matter. The point is that they go out and beat Maryland next week, which we both think they will, and they're going to have Ohio State at home with everything on the line. They win that game. I'm still not sure how the tiebreakers work, because it's really weird tiebreakers for the Big Ten. But I believe if Michigan were to win out, they will go to the Big Ten championship game. And so you go into that Ohio State game with everything on the line, a chance to beat Ohio State for the fifth year,
and it's kind of
a chance to go to the Big Ten championship. It's your chance to make the playoffs and a chance to win a national title. It's all still there going into the last game of the regular season.
And it's kind of like a game 7 of a playoff series, right? Where they say just get to a game 7 because anything can happen, right? In a lot of ways, that's how
you get it at home,
and you're at home, right? And Julian's saying that's the first time he's playing in the rivalry, and it's on the road. So you're like,
you have the mental edge. You've won 4 straight.
Mental edge, of course. Ryan Day, is he gonna? All that. Like, so many layers to that, man. So many layers.
It goes back to, and I texted you during that game. I said that the Michigan Wolverines equal the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah,
and I meant that in a lot of ways. But what I meant it more than anything is more the fan bases. Because if you remember in like August and September with the Tigers, everybody's just like, I just hope they're done. They're playing so bad. They're not going to do anything. There's no way they can win a World Series anyway. So who cares? I hope they don't make the playoffs. I hope they collapse. I'm like, dude, just get in. Yep. Just get in. Anything can happen. And even if you don't win it all, you're going to get some special moments. You're going to get some great moments potentially. And you did. Correct. You got some great Scoob Bowl games. You got that great game against Cleveland. You beat Cleveland. And he got within one play of going to the ALCS. Correct. And I feel like it's the same way with Michigan. I got all these Michigan fans are saying, I want Schroe more fired and this, that, and the other. Yeah. They're terrible. They're awful. Underwood's overrated. He doesn't deserve the money. I'm like, dude, all these guys, majority of your offense is freshmen for one thing. Yep. And 2, you're still right there. All the goals that they had set out before the season are still right there in front of them. I think
part of that is just fans being fans too. They ride the emotional roller coaster, and that's kind of how they feel. And but yeah, man, I'm with you. No, you're 8-2. You got an opportunity. Like you control your destiny. I think you're a good team, right? I do. I think you're a good team. But doesn't mean they're not flawed. They're flawed.
Oh, geez.
Right? For sure.
Yeah. But I think that goes back to, and that kind of to circle everything back where you talked about the haves and the have-nots. I just think there's maybe the top to the bottom. Yeah, maybe. But I just think in general in college football from like the 1 to the 20 in terms of the rankings, I just think there's so much parity.
I think that's
between those teams. I think there's a whole bunch of teams that could win the whole thing.
Well, no, there's no dominant team anymore, right? I see. Now this is where we're going to disagree. I don't think there's a whole bunch of teams that can win it. Like looking at last week's rankings,
really?
Right? Really. I think if you get below, like right now, just going by last week's rankings, right? I got it in front of me: Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. And I know Alabama just lost to Oklahoma. I don't think anybody below Georgia is winning the national championship. I don't.
You don't think Notre Dame gets in?
No.
You don't think they can do exactly what they did last year?
They might get in, but they're not winning it. I don't think Texas Tech is winning it. I don't think.
Why? They have the best running back in the country. They have one of the best coaches in the country. They're going to be going in there red hot. They lost the first 2 games of the year. They're going to win every game.
Who are you talking about now? Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yeah, maybe, but like they didn't win it last
What
year.
about another team, Ole Miss? You're gonna count out Ole Miss? You don't
Yes.
have Ole Miss in there.
Yes, I don't think they're winning it. Well, maybe
I would throw all
actually
those teams. I
they
would
might
throw
be
those
one.
two teams for sure
They're an SEC.
into the mix.
They're potential SEC. Yeah, SEC teams I do hold a little bit higher. I'm one of those people. Yes, I do think the SEC is the toughest conference still in college football. No, I think week in and week out, the more talented team's going to win in football. It's not like it's not like basketball. You know what I'm saying? Where you're going to get the upset here and there when a team gets hot, things like that. Just the physicality of football is different. Like that's what drove me crazy with the playoff expansion and let the Power Five in. The group of five in. The Cinderellas. Let them have fun. They might pull off one, but like over time, the physicality of the sport, like the best teams typically win. Like you're not going to see a Cinderella run that's crazy. Like I just don't think you will. To me, the most talented teams and the best teams right now are Ohio State and Indiana. I believe that. So, but we'll see, Dan. We will see.
You think that Ohio State and Indiana are the top two teams? So
like if we had if you and
the
I
two teams haven't, Ohio State, no Indiana, who really haven't played anybody.
You and I have some fun here, right? Okay. Ohio State and Indiana. All right, give me three teams. Give me Ohio State, Indiana. I'm going to say Texas A&M. Give me Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Would you take the field?
I will take the field. I would 100% take the field.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Because the teams you're banking on might not even make the playoff. I don't know.
Ooh. I mean, I guess Notre Dame could get upset. I highly doubt it. And I don't think they're going to lose to Stanford.
No. Or Syracuse. I'm going to game, baby. Yep.
Syracuse and Stanford.
Notre Dame's getting in. I agree with you. Notre Dame's getting in. Yep, Notre Dame's getting in. But back to the original question. I think with the way college football is structured now, like we're seriously questioning winning. Like they're winning. Michigan's 8-2. They're winning, right? Michigan's 8-2.
Well, that's always been the way. It's always been college football.
Yep.
It's been college football since the day one it started.
They're winning.
When you had rankings, anytime you have rankings, you're going to question wins and the ability, how strong those wins are, how bad those losses are.
Yep.
It's how it's always going to be if there's rankings.
Yep. Which is silly. I mean, and then because the SEC argument was always like, wow, we played in the tougher schedule week to week. What would our record be in the Big 12? Like, which is true. Like, what would Texas Tech's record be in the SEC? You can do this all day. I mean, maybe what it really is maybe we're not giving Virginia enough love, right? That ACC love. No, I'm kidding. Obviously.
Oh, the ACC's guard. I think everybody would be just fine if ACC didn't get a team in.
I'm kidding. I know that. But then, like,
the funny thing is the team that probably has the strongest argument to get in the playoff isn't going to win the conference.
They're going to finish like fourth, right?
Yeah. Both their losses are in conference, but they have a non-conference win against Notre Dame.
Yeah, just bizarre.
So one of the strongest non-conference in the country.
Yep, for sure. Bizarre, man. Yep, just bizarre, but is what it is. Yes, I think they're a good team, Dan. Yes.
So we could wrap it up with a Michigan Northwestern talk, but let's get into a little bit just more college football in general. I know we kind of got into kind of the rankings and the playoffs and things like that, but just general things that kind of caught your eye yesterday outside of just the Michigan Northwestern game.
Yeah, well, okay. So from a local perspective, Michigan State, I sent you that text. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit, but like if they lose 9 in a row to end their season, there's no way he can come back. And then you saw his comment about he didn't even know Michigan State was under investigation when he got hired. Like that's so bad. That's so little league on so many levels. So not good there. Yeah, the crazy part, the other thing that stood out is funny talking about A&M, right? Like they're down 30-3. We mentioned that, and they come back and win against South Carolina, who's under 500. SEC folk like me will say, well, that's just the depth of the league. Well, others will say, well, hang on a second. Like Michigan just barely beat Northwestern, and they're getting railed for it. How come Texas A&M isn't getting railed for it? Yeah. Some truth for that. And then again, Ohio State, like they weren't 100% healthy and put up 48 yesterday. So they're still pretty good. So those, nothing really, not a lot of intrigue right now. Like, don't kid yourself. Like, I think we're all fast forwarding to, Michigan, Ohio State. And then unfortunately, like championship game week really doesn't. I mean, I'm hoping there's some matchups for conference championship games that will mean something, right? Like, hey, this team wins, they're going to get in, but if they lose, they're done, right? Like, give that game some meaning.
It's probably going to be one of those group of five, possibly the ACC, but probably right. One of those group of five conferences that whoever the top seed or the top ranked team in the group of five that's playing a conference championship game, that's probably going to be your one there.
Yeah, you're probably right. And then the
rest of it's just going to be seeding.
Yes. What happens if the SEC has like 5 or 6 10-win teams?
Like, I think they probably all get in.
I think they probably all get in too. And then again, the people who are like, expand the playoff, we got to get others in. Well, that's not what happened. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They potentially could have 6 10-win teams. Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Texas A&M. Now, I don't have the records in front of me or their schedules in front of me, so maybe they play each other and we'll eliminate that. But, gosh, yeah. There's still some intrigue. For all our criticism of the playoff, there's still some intrigue in November, which is pretty cool, Dan. I mean, I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, the one the thing that grabbed me the most, and I called it the podcast Narrow Escapes, more from Michigan, but also for there was a few teams, but the one that stood out was the South Carolina game. And Shane Beamer, like, dude,
clown show.
What are you doing, man?
Clown show.
So it's 30-3. You're in Texas A&M. You're playing the number 3 team in the country, undefeated. You're up 30-3. And this is I'm not even gonna lead it up. I'm just gonna show this. Okay, this is Shane Beamer, the head coach of South Carolina. Again, they're up 30-3 going into halftime against the number 3 team in the country in Texas A&M. 110,000 people, and he's gonna do this going into halftime. I mean, dude, like, you're 3-6. You're playing the number 3 team in the country who's undefeated. You're in their house. The game's not over. This isn't the end of the game, and you're walking out doing this. This is halftime. What is he doing?
It's embarrassing. It looks like a guy who was obviously let the emotions of the moment and then probably of his entire tenure at South Carolina get the best of him right there, right? I mean, that's, to me, what that was. And I don't know, maybe went into halftime and said, hey, defense, hey man, I'm fired up and I just made an ass of myself, but like, hey, you're gonna make sure they don't come back.
You gotta have my back, guys.
Yeah, maybe that was his thing. But like, God, yeah, that's not a good look. And I don't know what his buyout is, but like, I bet you I'm surprised, like I don't know, 10, 15,
he made
20,
it out of the day.
That's what I'm saying. Like 10, 15, 20. I mean, heck, they fired a cop at part of that game. The South Carolina player going up the tunnel. Why couldn't they fire Shane Beamer, right? Yeah, not a good look, man. Not a good look. And if you're South Carolina, you're like, oh my God, that's bad. That's bad.
27-point halftime lead, and you blow it after making a spectacle out of yourself going into halftime. Just, I don't know. You cannot recover from that. He will never recover from it.
No,
like he has to be gone.
They'll be played,
which is crazy because it's just so many coaches are being gone. But like this, to me, this justifies firing a coach. I mean, this is inside the coach's office for a reason. We're coaches. We defend coaches more often than probably most shows you listen to. But this is ridiculous.
That's really bad. Can't defend that. I mean,
like, I just don't know how you come back.
It reminded me of Josh McDaniels when it was at the end of the game when he was coaching in Denver and they beat the Patriots, right, where he came from, and he was, doing all that stuff. And I can't remember what their record was after that. It might have been like 6-0 or something.
Might have been 6-0.
Was it 6-0?
Completely fell apart.
Yeah, they didn't even make the playoffs. It's like, dude, like, don't let the emotions get to you. It's easy for us to say. That's something we've battled as coaches, but like, yeah, like, man, let it play out. Don't make it clowning yourself. But you did.
Yeah.
You did.
Just wild.
Surely did.
Just wild.
Yep. But ideally, let's skip next week and just get to Michigan, Ohio State the following week. That's what everybody.
Yeah, next week, not great. Not great as far as big time games go. A lot of teams, I mean, preparing. SEC is kind of notorious for this. They kind of prepare for the rivalry week by having their bad non-conference game at this point. So you're going to get a lot of those, big time SEC teams against, Division II or, Division I AA, whatever they call it anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of those caliber teams. So not a lot of big, I don't even know if there's any top 25 matchups. We'll have to see when the rankings come out, but yeah, but you never know. A lot of times, these weeks they come up and bite you, times you think that it's just going to be a garbage week. There's not going to really be that interesting. And all of a sudden some of these unranked teams jump up and bite some of these ranked teams because teams are looking ahead. So we'll see.
For sure. No, I agree with you.
But the main thing around here locally, I'm hoping both Michigan and Ohio State win. So we get the biggest matchup we can possibly have 2 weeks from now in Ann Arbor.
That's I think that's all our expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this Lions-Eagles game. Brian, this is the big one of the weekend. Obviously, this is one of the biggest games of the season. Going to determine so much in terms of the NFC, in terms of seeding. Hard to imagine if the Lions lose this game, then they're a path being for them to get to the 1 seed. It's kind of a must win for them in terms of that, in terms of getting a number 1 seed. The division obviously won't be lost, but to try to get the 1 seed and try to get the bye like they had last year, going to be incredibly difficult if they don't find a way to pull this one out. So, Brian, just before we kind of get into some different stats and some different things, what are some things that jump out to you initially looking at this game?
Well, I mean, two really stand out. The fact that the Bears and the Packers won close games today, and so if the Lions don't win tonight, they're in 3rd place. And obviously, they play the Packers and the Bears again. But God, it just makes things a lot tougher if they don't win tonight. And the second thing is how beat up the Lions are. We still knew a little bit about Terry and Arnold was beat up and Kirby Joseph is beat up. But then Sam Laporta being out this game is a big one too, right? And then you still have guys.
IR, he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks.
Yes, that's a big blow.
Brutal.
Yeah, and then and you're still not 100%. Taylor Decker's not 100%. Penei Sewell's not 100%. Josh Pascal's not. He's not playing. So that is coming up at a bad time going into Philly. Now, I guess the good thing, if you want to say a good thing, is that we talked about it. Philly played Monday night, and then they're on a short week, and now so they have to fight that battle at home. So. Yeah, those are the 2 things that stand out to me: is the Lions' health and the fact that it's definitely not a must-win game, but man, it's a pretty big game.
With Laporta out, Brock Wright's not a bad tight end, but probably somebody that's not going to play nearly as many reps as a Laporta would. Laporta, I think, was 2nd in the team in receiving yards, so obviously a huge factor in the receiving game and the passing game for Goff. So with Brock Wright stepping in, do you think it's a situation where they're going to utilize Tesla more and utilize more personnel packages where maybe they have a little bit more forward wide receiver sets, or do they just ride it out and they let Wright step in? And maybe he's still involved as much as Laporta would be in terms of just how many reps he's going to get, but he's just not going to get the passes like a Laporta would.
I think one thing that stood out last week with Dan Campbell calling plays is Jahmyr Gibbs got a lot more touches than he did the week before, right? And they're still going to focus on the running game. So I think when Brock Wright is in the game, the emphasis is still going to be on running the ball. You know what I mean? And I think that's apparent. Does this, should it lead to more playing time for Isaac Tesla and more, 10 personnel stuff? Yeah, for sure. Get him on the field a little bit more, but depends on, their matchups as well, what they think. The thing that Sam Laporta and good receiving tight ends do is it creates a mismatch, right? If on a linebacker who's in the game to play the run, and if a team wants to put a nickel in to cover him, well, he's a good run blocker as well. So they lose that a little bit. Brock Wright's not terrible, but I think his skill is more, in the run game anyway. I don't think it'll change that much to a degree, but again, game script may have something to do with it. If they find themselves in a shootout type situation, then obviously I think you want to get your receivers in the game and attack it that way. But I think still, with all that being said, it'll still be a good football game. It'll still be a pretty good competitive football game. It should be good. The interesting thing with the Eagles is I mean, the Lions history that comes up in my mind with this is like AJ Brown has spouted off for weeks about not getting the ball enough. So, he's going to explode tonight. That's going to be something that's going to drive me crazy. But no, I think it's going to be a good game that comes down to the end. It'll be interesting in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and just to bring it back to the tight end situation, I would expect to see some more Dan Skipper too, assuming both tackles are healthy and playing Decker and Sewell, and there's no issues there. But I would expect to see some Skipper as an extra tight end, extra blocker, just to help out in the running game. Those are things that they've done in the past, even when Laporta was healthy. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those personnel packages more, especially in short yardage. Things like that. So, and you brought up AJ Brown. I wanted to bring that up because I thought this was an interesting stat that I saw. If you pull up for me, there we go. So this was from Jeff Kerr, and he just talked about how much the Lions use man coverage, and we've talked about this in the past. Even despite the injuries, when they played Tampa Bay, they went back to playing primarily man, despite the injuries. And it talks about here they're the fourth most man-to-man defense in the league, and Jalen Hurts against man coverage, he torches man coverage. So not exactly ideal. 63% percentage, passing percentage, 12 touchdowns and 1 interception, 126 passing rating. But you brought up AJ Brown, and when he targets AJ Brown in man-to-man coverage, 14 for 22, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 140.7 quarterback rating. So, and I remember being at this obviously was a few years ago. This was before the Lions kind of got in their run, but this was in 2022, and it was the season opener. That's the last time the Lions played the Eagles, and AJ Brown just absolutely torched.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. It's not a good matchup for the Lions here, and the Eagles.
There we go.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, it's not a good matchup for the Lions, and I was gonna talk about the Eagles in general, and we haven't even talked about Devontae Smith. You know what I'm saying? Saquon Barkley, they're gonna have some positive matchups for them in this game from an offensive perspective. Even if the Lions were 100% healthy, the Eagles are still gonna have some mismatches out there. So the Lions, right, going back to it'll be interesting to see what they do early on in the game with that. Do they continue to bring pressure and play a lot of man, or do they try to keep everything in front of them and make the Eagles drive the field and be sure tacklers? Because remember we talked about the game against the Buccaneers, and one thing that stood out to me was they were sure tacklers when the balls, right? Even with all their injuries, all those guys, the backups, they were good tacklers. Not a lot of run after the catch. So we'll see how that plays out tonight. I think the first quarter will say a lot. If the Lions are playing man and they're just getting torched, that's just you're in for a long night.
Yeah, and we talked about this after the Kansas City game and going into the Tampa Bay game. Is they got Mahomes torched them when they played zone against Kansas City. He absolutely just torched them, and they played zone coverage because of the injuries. And then they went into Tampa Bay and they said, you know what, screw that. We're going to be who we are. Even if we got to play our second and third stringers, we're going to play man. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to get after it. And it worked against Tampa. They held them to 9 points on Monday Night Football in a huge game. And then, they had the bye week, and then they have Washington. Washington wasn't a very good test, right, with Daniels being out and a ton of their guys being out. They're just decimated with injuries. So this is obviously going to be a lot more of a test to see what if that was just a kind of a blip on the radar, if there was kind of a bit of a fluke against Tampa Bay, or if they truly do have, a lot more depth in this secondary than I think anybody would have realized, because they're still out a ton of guys in that secondary, and these guys are going to have to step up and play well against some of the best players in the NFL.
For sure. And I got one for you, Dan. This just came across my computer. So we're talking about teams the NFL, they haven't beaten anybody. The Broncos haven't beaten anybody. They just beat Kansas City. They're 9-2. The Chiefs are 5-5. And remember we talked about before when we talked about who's the betting favorite in the AFC, and I went back to Patrick Mahomes, but The Chiefs are 9-2, 4 games, or excuse me, the Broncos are 9-2, 4 games ahead of the Chiefs. Wow. Just
the Patriots are 9-2 as well.
Patriots are 9-2.
Isn't that
wow.
wild?
So no, it's wild, and
it's Colts, Patriots, and Broncos are leading the AFC right now.
Yeah, Daniel Jones,
head and shoulders above
Bo Nix, and like I still hate to harp on it, but like God, like the Lions window, man, they had that chance, and then look what happens though. Teams get better and things happen, and frustrating.
Well, if they win tonight, we're not going to be talking about windows being closed.
You're right. It's still
going to be sitting pretty good position.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, I can't emphasize enough how big this game is to get that 1 seed. Like I think they're gonna be right in line to win a division, regardless if they win tonight or not. They're gonna fall behind Chicago if they lose tonight, but they're still gonna be right there. They're still gonna have an opportunity to play those teams. But they only get one time to play the Eagles.
Yeah,
and the Eagles are going to be far ahead of them if Philly wins tonight. So they get that 1 seed. Now, people, there'll be people that say, "Wow, they got the 1 seed last year and they got knocked out in the first playoff game." Like, yeah, sometimes you just get beat, but it doesn't mean that having the 1 seed isn't far better than being anything less than that. I mean, to have a bye week when nobody else gets a bye week and you're the only team that gets one. Like that's so huge. It's so huge, especially with these expanded seasons now. You have 18 games, 18 weeks. It's like they're just players are not getting less fast and less big and less physical. Like it's just man, guys get beat up. And if you can get into the playoffs and get a week off, and then the final 2 games before the Super Bowl you have at home, you can't have an easier road than that. Like you want the easiest road possible. And if the Lions want to get the easiest road, they have to win tonight.
Yeah, they're not. They lose tonight, 0 chance can't say 0 chance, but they're 2 games behind the Rams and they're 2 games behind the Eagles on the race for the 1 seed. So no, don't see it happening. But we'll see. Are we up to prediction time?
Well, I just want to bring this up real quick, Brian, because this did come out earlier today with Dan Campbell. It was announced that he is going to be calling the plays for the rest of this season. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on that in general, because there was some talk that, maybe Morton will take the play calling back over later in the year, but that's all done. Like that's done with. Campbell is going to be the play caller for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they had success, and obviously it's something he felt comfortable with, and they have a pretty good relationship with John Morton, and so I am not surprised in the least. So if they scored 9 points tonight, he's going to be criticized. It'll be criticized, but good. I mean, last week was good, and we'll see what happens tonight. And see, again, what I liked about last week was Jahmyr Gibbs getting more touches. Like that should be a no-brainer. You think about it. And then Jameson Williams obviously got involved, especially in the second half. So those things we want to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into it, Brian. Let's make our picks. I'll let you go first. What do you think here? This is huge Sunday night football game. Who's going to take it? I
said it last week. Before I knew about Laporta and some of the guys not coming back yet, I still think the Lions are going to win. I think they're going to win late. I think something like 30-27, something like that. Field goal late, and they're going to be victorious. And we're going to be feeling pretty good the next time we talk.
Man, I've been going back and forth with this one. Like I just feel like the injuries in the secondary are going to be an issue. I have nightmares of that game that I went to when Philly just torched them. They couldn't stop Hurts. They couldn't stop AJ Brown. More importantly, AJ Brown. He just absolutely torched. I kind of see that happening again. Like you brought it up, like AJ Brown's been chirping. He wants to get the ball, and you see the statistics. You see what the Lions are going to want to do. And I just don't think they got the bodies to do what they want to do against a Super Bowl caliber team like this on the road in a big time spot. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think when push comes to shove, it's going to be guys like AJ Brown that are going to make those big plays and those big moments. And the Lions are going to be able to stop them. They're not going to have an answer for it. I'm going to say 31-27 Philly. 31-27 Philly. But it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's awesome that the Lions are on Sunday Night Football. Right? It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing prime time all the time. It's great.
Yep, that is great. No, I agree, Dan. I agree.
All right, any final thoughts, Brian, before we sign off on this one?
Good week again. We're just grinding through, waiting, like we said, waiting to get through this next week of college football and then into the big one, hopefully. And then hopefully we're talking about we'll be getting, like we said before too, with the Lions, right? They handled the Commanders at the very least last week and this week, split, go 1-1. Should be favored the next 3 games at home. You get to 9-4, like regardless if they're a 1 seed or not. Okay, if they're one of the first 3 seeds, I'm feeling pretty good. If they're in the top 3, I'm feeling pretty good. So
I mean, the most important thing about win the division.
Yeah, that's still something. Yep. I mean, I do get scared of going to Chicago. You know what I mean? But the Lions, again, they've played well on the road before, and I expect them to play well on the road tonight. So, yep, we'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah, should be a good one. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. For Brian Barnes, I'm Dan Murphy. We'll see you again next week.